Hey guys, welcome back to the episode of the Corner Flag Talk podcast. It's your boy John, and we're here to talk. Wait, no, that's really bright. Like, oh my goodness me. I feel like if the Lord comes and take, man. Oh, we like to talk to you guys about the latest in football. Obviously, well, actually, not obviously, not. The plan was for you all to hear from us over the international break, but we were planning, and we still are planning, to do like this tactical deep dive into Ruben Amorim, but scheduling has made that a very difficult thing. But we are still planning to try and do it. So if you see it, go support it. Okay, honestly, I have no idea why this is looking so bright. We're going on this start this. But normally I'll just take off my light, but dog, that is real bright. It's no, I have only mean light and they don't look as bright. Whatever. I have Brandon here. Brandon, what's it good, my guy?
It's the most wonderful time of the year, where plenty licks sharing and Pep is still fearing Liverpool are clear.
Well
It's
done.
the most wonderful time of the year.
Oh, that was really good. Well
Thank
done.
you.
I'm gonna put you on the spot here, right? Because you wasn't expecting me to do this. But for those of you who don't know, but you should know by now, because if you're in a group, you would know and stuff like that. By the way, if you want to join the group, Brandon was invited to be part of the commentary team for the Canadian Championships, University Championships, and we're just gonna give him his moment in the spotlight and tell us what I was like. Obviously, we are very proud of you because it's a very good opportunity that you had. And if you all go on the Instagram, it has commentated. It have clips of the game with Brandon's commentary in it, so you guys can check that out as well. But yeah, Brandon, give us like in a minute or so what it was like. What was the highs, the lows?
Well, the highs was that I was very high up, about 15 feet up on this thing that they used to clean the thing they used to clean windows, like you go up on.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was on one of those. I was in a harness, I think, just in case something went bad. But I mean, it was a great experience for me. It was good football overall. All the teams played very well, made it very easy for me. The names were kind of difficult because some of these people have real interesting names because they're from all different parts of the world, which is another cool thing to there's just like a whole mesh of people coming together. So that was very good. And at the end of the day, the best team won. For me, it was an overall win because it was something that I really wanted to do, something I've been very excited to do. So it was a good experience for me.
Honestly, it had. I trying to remember who it was, but somebody, one of them names they say in commentary, and I was like, you know what, brother, well done. Because me, and when they don't know how me and English is we fighting right now, so like I would have completely fallen apart. But again, very proud of you, man, and I really hope that opens it up for many more opportunities in the future. With that, let's get straight into it. I mean, I feel like it'll be a disservice to start anywhere else other than the Spurs versus Manchester City game. We have thoughts from Virgil here, but we kind of hoping that he would join. But even if he doesn't, we have thoughts from Virgil here and from Daniel. And so, yeah, what was your overview? Actually, going into the game, what was your thoughts? Because for me, like unbiasedly, I thought with even like when you watch like how things went before the game, right? Rodri presented his Ballon d'Or in front of everyone. Pep just announced his extension that he's staying. Like the vibes was there. KDB was back to, he was in the squad. And it just, after the first 10, 12 minutes, it was Spurs. It was all Spurs. So yeah, what was your thought?
Well, bro, I know I've said this before, and I hope you remember that I've said this before. I find there's a real lack of pride in football these days because how can you have your Ballon d'Or winner being presented with his Ballon d'Or in front of your home fans, your greatest ever manager, probably the greatest manager you'll ever have in your entire history of your club's career, is extending his contract to continue the success that they have had over the past 10 years, and you come and lose, and you do it all for nothing. That is very that's very disappointing in my opinion. And I mean, I know we'll get into it, but I mean, overall, a very disappointing performance from City. But I must say, a lot of credit to Spurs. I thought they played really well, and a lot of the players have been criticized, and I know this happens every every so often, but the players that we criticized over the season, they had outstanding games, and
Yeah.
that is all they could ask for after the international break. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that had a part to play in it, but both teams are coming back from the international break. So at the end of the day, very disappointing from City and an excellent performance from Spurs.
I mean, it is the most Spurs thing, right? To beat Aston Villa comprehensively, then give Ipswich their first win of the season. Not like Ipswich did anything in the game, right? Obviously, they deserved it. And then they come back from the international break with City looking to right the wrongs and to beat them in their own stadium. And I mean, like, I know that when we look back on it over the last few years, that City always have found Spurs to be their kryptonite, right? But that usually has come from these really steady defensive performances, playing them on the counter, playing mostly into key and exploiting some pacing behind and stuff like that. This was not that. In fact, it was Ange's approach that really exploited where the weaknesses are in this City team. And I think like one of the standout things over the last few weeks for me was that yes, Rodri isn't there. And obviously that is a big miss. I believe it was you who said that you think that they might be rigging. They might be falling in the league just to prove how important Rodri really was.
I have a big conspiracy theory.
But like not just him missing, but like a complete lack of physicality in the midfield, a complete lack of combativeness, and it feels like when teams start running them now, it's like they have no answer to it. And Spurs were willing to not just sit on the, not be on the front foot, but like go again and again and again. And like Spurs wasn't even like, waiting for them to come on them. And okay, well, when would they lose the ball with the pounce? Is that they kept pressure on them constantly, and that's what resulted in Madison probably having his best game in a Spurs shirt so far, and I mean, like, prior to him going to Tottenham, I've been a big fan of him. I think like he's a huge talent, but like a criticism of you've had that I've had is his consistency over a whole campaign and stuff. But this was his best performance. I don't know if it's a hot take. I think Kulusevski has probably been arguably Spurs player of the season between him and obviously Brendan Johnson having his burst into form. But like I think he's been fantastic. And all the forward players came into the fore in this game. And they did this. I think again, and I'll come back in here, is that Spurs do this. Well, Van der Ven and Romero must have had monster games. Then you watch the lineup and it was Ben Davies and Dragusin. This means that Spurs went to Manchester this season, dropped 7 goals, and left with none. Forget if Manchester is blue or red. It's white. Manchester is white right now. And before we have a tendency to do this, and understandably so, because it's Manchester City, right? Before we get into, this City problem, that City problem, what was the stuff from Spurs that really stood out for you on the day?
Well, boy, one thing that I will say, and I think this is something that I've noticed for the whole season. I mean, I haven't said it yet because obviously it's not something that we'd like to talk about. I think Pape Matar Sarr is having an incredible season. I think that he is super important to everything that Spurs do going forward. He provides the cover. He provides a lot of ball carrying for them. He's such a sturdy presence in the midfield, and I think that to me that was the contrast between the two teams. They had one team had a sturdy presence in front of the defense, and the other team didn't. And the attacking flair is similar on both sides, I would say. You can always say whatever you want about City's quality and stuff on paper, but at the end of the day, that was what made all the difference to me. I thought Sarr was great. I thought when Werner came on, he was also very positive. Brennan Johnson, like you said, is on a tear right now, and I want to sing Kulusevski's praises because I think arguably he has a case for being in the team of the season right now. Like at the end of the season, hopefully he keeps us up. It'll be hard for him to not be in teams. I believe this statistic is he's created the most chances in the league this season.
Yeah,
I believe recently he overtook both Saka and Palmer this weekend.
Yeah.
So I mean, from a Spurs perspective, or the Spurs perspective, if you want to call it that, it's been very, very positive for them. I mean, Solanke didn't get on the score sheet, but again, Solanke played, right? I can't remember. Solanke played.
No, he did, yeah.
He did, right? Yeah.
To be fair, he was, I think, even though he didn't score, I think he did really well in pinning the centre backs and making it that they can't compress the field, you know?
I don't want to make. Couldn't remember what it's been a long weekend of all kind of crazy
It
things.
has been. It has.
Yeah.
Trust
So
me, I know how long of a weekend it has been.
yeah. So yeah. Overall, bro. The final thoughts I'll put on Spurs because I know we have to move on to City because that's a big talking point. But Spurs tend to play better against the big teams, and I've noticed that, and that's probably going to be something that continues for the rest of the season. They seem to thrive in those type of games where it is and it's going to be end to end. There's no team holding a low block, or any team that's trying to go at Spurs. That's where they seem to thrive, and this is a
Yeah.
prime example of it because City don't sit back. City never going to sit back against you, and they really put them to the sword. And finally, before we go on, John, this is the kind of performance they need when you're trying to take down the big dogs because you put your foot on their neck and you stay there and you kill them because the game was 4-0, but it wasn't like they scored these 4 goals in a 10-minute span or a 20-minute span. This was the entire game. Like from start to finish, it was domination from Spurs. And I think on another day, probably Haaland gets a goal, probably something changes. De Bruyne only played 16 minutes. But yeah, boy, Spurs, incredible performance.
Yeah, and I mean, like, look, again, this is Spurs we're talking about here, right? What I'm about to say could, bite me in my butt literally next week when I play Fulham, right? Is that, yes, I think they've been characteristically inconsistent. However, the reason that I had them fourth when I did my predictions at the start of the season was because of the firepower that they have. We talk about Kulusevski, Madison, Son, Solanke, Brendan Johnson, Timo Werner coming off the bench to contribute. This is some serious firepower that they have here. And so far, we've seen them be able to put in big performance, as you said, against the big six. And that is when, those 6-pointers, that could be very crucial. And while I think that we all know what is Spursy, and we all know, like, all the deficiencies that is on the Ange, I think that this is probably, like, one of the managers over the last few years that they should really be behind, because he gets them to a place where they could play and beat other teams on their own strengths. And it's just about, if Daniel Levy is prepared to like fully back him, get proper depth at the back line, get proper support in the midfield and stuff like that. So that when they do be this expansive, they aren't that caught out in the back line, Somebody who we didn't shout out so far, who I think have had some weak performances this season, but was really good at the weekend, was Vicario. I thought he was really, really good in
Played with a
goal.
broken ankle as well, bro. Apparently.
Yeah, no, like shout out to him. That was incredible. You already said Pape Sarr. Shout out to the Davies and Dragusin for filling in, man. Like,
Yeah, boy.
nobody, I mean, like, we all went into the game thinking, like, this could be bad. This could get really bad for them, But as we saw what happened. And I mean, with that, we should probably get into City. For what is worth, that win puts them 5 points off City and only 1 point off of Chelsea and Arsenal that are both joint on point right now. Chelsea being in third above Arsenal. But with that, we go on to Manchester City, and I think we will talk midfield. We will talk the deficiencies there. But I think if we take it chronologically as how this game progressed, let's be real honest, right? Brandon, by the time that Spurs got their first goal, Haaland could have a brace at that point. And this has been something that has been going on for a good while now. And like I've said that at the end of the day, a team's efficiencies only really matter based on the outcome. Like, it only matters in terms of how much we discuss it based on the outcome at the end of the season. But this was something that, the way that the season started, where Haaland was on this tear and scored hat-trick after hat-trick, then brace, that we thought that what we saw last season with him, with being inefficient in front of goal, was just a blip, was just, the bro, he was just going through a rut. But that now has kind of carried over from where we saw, the Chelsea and the Liverpool games last season, where he got 4 or 5 chances and missing it. And we've seen it these last few games here. We saw it this weekend against Spurs. We saw it last weekend against Brighton. We saw it the weekend before against Wolves and against Southampton. And yeah, they might not have gotten punished all the time. But when teams started to realize, well, hey, they're not taking their chances, maybe we could step forward a little bit. Teams going at them. And Brandon, these teams are not beating them. The small leagues in the defensive point, but teams not beating them by scoring 2 goals off of like 0.3 XG, Back-to-back games, they are conceding regularly over 2 XG, and that is crazy. But it comes back to the point of, like, game state is important. And where these teams are in terms of the scoreline when they get their chances, where the momentum is. And right now, this City team, when you think of goals, you think of Haaland. That is where the main source is. Now, there's a whole lot of conversation, and we can have it too, of why there's a lack of expectation of goals in the rest of the squad. Because, Brandon, if I was to ask you, who you think the second highest scorer is this season, who you would I give a guess to?
I know the answer, and I'm glad you brought this up because
gosh.
no, you actually brought up my point. And do you mind if I continue off of that point?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, the answer is Guardiola, right? I believe it's
Yep,
it's
it
five.
is.
I believe it's five.
It
Goals?
is 4.
Four, right?
Unless
And then
four. Yeah.
yeah, I believe it's either 4 or 5, and then you go down the list and it's 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, or something like that. And
Yeah.
to me, I think that in itself is the real problem because teams have figured out that let's say we catch Haaland on a bad day. What is anybody else gonna do? Nobody's gonna do anything, you know.
Yep.
And I mean, another huge point is that if you look at those scoring tables, right? And if you look at the City scoring chart, there's a player that's not on the list, and that's Phil Foden. And nobody's talking about the kind of season that Phil Foden is having. This is the player of the season of last year that we're talking about. That player needs to be held to extremely high standard. And I don't think he's being held to that standard right now. He is one of the reasons that they won the league last year with his goals. And we could see this season that is the deficiency of the team. The team itself lacks goals. Haaland is doing as much as he can. Like people, and I, I've been I've had a huge problem with this, right? We criticize Haaland immensely, and sometimes it is justified. But at the end of the day, Haaland has 12 goals.
He's top scorer in the league.
He's top scorer in the league, right? Yeah. And so people look to him and say, "Oh well, he didn't score today," and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, what is the rest of the team doing? The rest of the team is not doing anything. They are looking for him at the end of the day, and they are finding him, and he's not converting at the end of the day. But sometimes when your player is not in a good vein of form, you have to take it up on yourself. Look at what Kovacic was doing at the start of the season. Kovacic had 3 goals, I believe. I think 2 of them were game-winning goals. I could be wrong.
Yes, they were.
But and that's not what you expect from the City team. You don't expect a player like Kovacic to be winning games.
Yeah.
Guardiola has 4 goals. We don't expect their left back who's playing left wing to be up there in the scoring sheet. We talked about Savinho at the start of the season.
Has no goals.
Has no goals for the season so far. Doku has 1 goal for the season. Jack Grealish, I don't think, has a goal for the season. Look at the caliber of players that we're talking about. This is not. And I hear you, and I agree that there's a lot of criticism that has to come Haaland's way. But at the end of the day, what is the rest of the team doing? The rest of the team is they're not doing anything goals wise, and that to me is a huge problem because the biggest thing that we've talked about is that this City team can conjure goals out of anywhere, but that is not the case this season. So maybe that is the problem. That's what we have to focus on.
And Brandon, leading on your point, bro, I've said this for the longest while. Like whenever people talk about like Messi and Ronaldo, right? When we look at almost everything that Messi and Ronaldo has ever achieved, there were games that they didn't score in. But you know what? Somebody else stepped up and scored because at the end of the day, this is a team sport. You need other players to step up. There were games that Vinicius didn't score in, but Carvajal score, or Rodrigo score, or Jude score. When the year that Bayern win the treble on the flick, when had games that Lewandowski didn't score, but Gnabry score and Muller score. This is my point. Like other players step up to score, and the thing is, right now in the City team, it says so much that you're so right that nobody else has been held to a standard that is what should be our City player. Like, let me be super real right now, right, Brandon? If this was a case where Raheem Sterling was in that squad and he went this far this season with no goals, imagine what the conversation would have been.
No, it's true. And the only player being held to that standard is Haaland, unfortunately. The only player.
And you know what that shows? Why? That to me, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but what that shows to me is that, like, in people's hearts, they don't actually expect that much from some of these players. Because you only would criticize them if you felt like if you was going to expect this from them. Because, like, when I watch, Foden's season last year, because he scored 19 goals last year, which is fantastic. That's phenomenal, right? My thing for him coming to this season was to see if he would have replicated something akin to that. Even if he didn't hit that heights anymore, but something similar to that. Because, our criticism of Foden in particular over this whole time was that he's always been a highly talented player, but the responsibility never was there on him consistently. And last year, KDB being out, he's had a lot of crucial moments, and big parts in them winning the league last year. It was for me now to see if it was okay. Was that a season where he managed to just pop off, or does that carry across and now becomes his level, or something close to it, even if he don't hit that same height anymore? And it just has not been there. And the thing is, we go week by week, and City scrape past Fulham, and they scrape past Wolves, and they scrape past Southampton, and nobody was bothering to really say anything at that point because they was winning. But guess what, dog? At some point, the ball will lie in the Brandon, and it's catch up. And now we're in a place with 5 losses in a row. And I mean, I want to see they play Feyenoord in midweek, right? So I really think the Bucks should stop there, right? But it should be unfathomable that we go in next week into Anfield and think a next loss, boy, a possible 6 losses, 7. That is really where we reach, boy. A Pep side, and you know what it is? It's because we don't trust them to not just keep it off running back. But if Haaland not scoring, who going and score? And then now it comes back to we talk about the way that this squad is constructed, because there have been some flops in terms of so many investments over the last few years. Calvin Phillips was supposed to be the understudy to Rodri. You know where he is, why? Not even getting minutes for Ipswich. Then you have Matheus Nunes. Where is he? They lack physicality in the midfield, Brandon. Shouldn't he be the answer? Where is he? And we're just not seeing that. We're just not seeing that at all. And then now that gets into the conversation in the midfield. Going forward, how do they even begin to rectify this? Because the centre backs barely fit. They now get back Stones, they now get back Akanji. Unless they go and play that Simpson Poussey fella, who got step in the midfield? Rico Lewis, I think, is a really good player. But is he a transition defender? Can he stand up in the midfield and be physical? And now we're looking at a problem that, we might say, in January comes, he could buy Kimmich, he could buy Zubimendi. And there's solutions. I'm not denying that. But there's a lot of football to play with now and then. And we are staring at the prospect of Manchester City being possibly 11 points behind Liverpool next week. And that's a lot of points to try and find a solution for.
Yeah, and you see that point you bring up there about January, that would be a very reactive approach from City, which is something that we have not associated with them for any transfer market. We've always praised them for being proactive in the market, but now they have to be reactive. And I mean, fair play to Virgil. Virgil pointed this out at the start of the season. He said that they don't have a cover for Rodri, and we now see the problem that happened without Rodri.
Yeah.
I'd also like to say, and this is my burning question, and I'll put this in the notes, and you probably have no idea what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to say it. At the start of the season, I made a prediction for my player of the year, and I think I was right. Even though he's not going to play any game this season, I believe I was right. Rodri is the player of the season because we have never seen. I can't remember, and I can't recall a single team losing one player the season after they won the league and being so bad, so bad. And John, this is the question I would like to ask you. This is the burning question that I have. We have for the past 6 seasons or however many seasons, we have said that City have the best squad in the league. But do they really have the best squad in the league if they lose one player and they just crumble? Do they really have the best squad in the league, or is it just that they have do they have the best player in the league? And have we been looking at this the wrong way for the entire time? It can't be that they have the best player in the league, or they have the best team in the league, and then when they lose one player, they all crumble. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because they should be able to be self-sufficient without one player. But this doesn't seem to be the case. Even when they didn't have Haaland last season, they still made out. They still were able to get wins.
Brand, this isn't necessarily an answer, but remember a few weeks ago we were talking about, I want to say this was 6 weeks ago, we were talking about if Rodri is the real breaking point then of City. Because I was seeing that, I've seen this extreme, right? That it comes to the point where it felt like Pep, we could give him 11 pieces of wood and he would have found a way, because we saw literally everybody else missing. And maybe now we really have found what is the pillar, the real load-bearing pillar in this actual team then. And the thing is that I think part of what Rodri being out has done is started to highlight a bunch of the deficiencies in the squad. Because it means then now that because they can't retain the ball as well, because they can't be as foolproof in transitions, it means then now that their front line is a lot more highlighted in terms of their goals because they can't just keep relentless pressure on the opposition back line. They then now have to take their chances when they actually get, not just hope for 70 minutes of constant domination. And because of that now, we ended up in a situation where Haaland, who is the top scorer in the league, is being criticized. Nobody's expecting goals from Foden, from Doku, from Bernardo Silva, from Savio, from Grealish. And here we are. And yeah, the defense is being highlighted. But if we're being real, right, Brandon? The second that we knew Rodri was injured, we knew that, yeah, okay, transitionally, they would have been bad. You know, we did not talk about Brandon when he got injured was lack of goals. And that is what commented for a lot more now. Because one goal a game is no longer enough for them to see it through anymore. Or no goals apparently.
Yeah, they don't. They definitely don't have the solidarity to hold on to those leads and to keep control of the game. And again, this is something that we talk about with Real Madrid with losing Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
We undervalue the ability of players to understand how to control games and how to keep games with the right tempo, how to use momentum, how to kill momentum. We really undervalue that in the game today, and we've seen it from Rodri. And there's also a stat I looked at today because I was very curious about it, right? In terms of system, John, at Barca, who would you say was Pep's most important player? Obviously, I don't want to say Messi because it's Messi, right? I don't want to say.
Well, to be fair, my answer was going to be Busquets, though. But...
Right, so that I would agree that it would be Busquets, right? Can you tell me who you thought it was at Bayern systematically?
Lam.
Right, I agree, right? So we see I didn't talk to you about this, and we already in agreement, right? I looked at both of their injury records, and the most missed by either of those players was Lam in 2014-15, and he missed 17 games, right? And other than that, he missed about 3 games. I think Busquets' most missing a season is 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's his entire career. So, we're talking about a situation where Pep has always had his keystone player available for him all the time, which is another thing that we've also been praising Rodri for, his availability, which has been, availability and consistency. That's all you need in football. That's all you need from high quality footballers. And Pep has now lost his key piece, and he doesn't know. He's like you're losing your queen in chess. What is your next move? And Pep he keeps losing pieces now. He keeps losing pieces as he's lost his queen, and he doesn't know what to do. So this is the moment where we will really see what Pep is made of, because he has to find a solution. He cannot keep playing the same way. Walker got absolutely cooked.
Actually, that was the next thing I was going to bring up. Is that I think me and you have agreed on this before, but I generally think the last 2 years from Walker has been steadily downhill. And at first it was just
steadily is being kind. I think.
Because then after that point it just went steep downhill. And I think if you go back to nearly every goal they've conceded in big games, they usually come on his side.
All the goals against Spurs have him involved. All of them.
And I want to be clear, this is not me robbing him, because just yesterday my brother was asking me all-time Premier level kind of sharpness, and I did say that Walker would want to likely be my all-time Prem right back now, because his levels was fantastic. But that's just not who he is anymore. He probably need to leave because the football already left him, right? But it just is what it is. And again, we talk about Rodri's injuries highlighting other players' deficiencies. Well, look at his backline now. We talk about Man City. We expect them to have, because they are the best team in England over the last decade or whatever it is that, okay, well, they have some of the best defenders in the league. It's not looking so right now, And for a while, I felt like Gvardiol was the only one who could have still hold his head high. But I still think he had a pretty poor game at the weekend.
Pretty poor is being kind too.
Yeah, and so it goes. I mean, Patrick said that he felt like it was more that Spurs took advantage of City in transition. But to be honest,
which is true. But it doesn't discount any of the other things that we have highlighted, I don't think.
Yeah. And because even when you watch even the Brighton game last week, right before the international break, Brighton goals didn't come in transition. When Matt O'Reilly scored was because they had the ball for a while. And so it's problems. Before we move on, what would be your solution?
Boy,
And specifically think about the fact that they go into Liverpool next week. And I
yeah,
don't
boy.
care what Pep says in the media, whatever. He is not throwing any towel, not yet. You
No,
know,
no, no. Of course, that's all mind games from Pep. You know, like Pep
and
is
I think he knows that if he goes there and even gets a draw at least, and he stops their momentum, he knows he's done plenty. Because on top of stopping their momentum, he stopped the bleed. He stopped the bleed with their own team. But how do they approach that? What would be your answer,
well,
knowing all who missing us?
well, boy. I don't like. For me, I don't know if Pep is in a position to settle for a draw, because if he draws, I believe you and us will be
If we
6
both win,
points.
go above him.
We'll go above, right? Right. Okay, good. Right. I'm
Yeah.
making sure. Right. So like he doesn't
And
have
we would
any
both be 7 off Liverpool if they draw.
of Liverpool, right? Like he doesn't have room for error. He could be sliding on the table in 2 weeks. This is not.
Yeah.
This is the problem when you set such a high standard, John. You have to maintain it because look at we're in a situation now where City are only 5 points ahead. They're in second place, and we're talking about them as if it's doomsday. But that is the standard that they have created for themselves. That is the expectation of everybody. That's what they expect. And of course, and we see this every season, this could be famous last week. City could go on a 20-game winning
usual thing. But I mean that.
No,
but this is what I'm saying, right? That like a lot of what we discuss with City ends up only being based on what the outcome is. Because it only matters then if it really are punished for it. But there are some stuff that we are seeing here that has been, at least hinted at in the last few seasons. And it's just a case that if teams were taking advantage of it. But 5 losses in a row show that teams will started to take advantage of it. And the thing is like, there is no international break anymore. There is no stop. He has no stop anymore. He has to find that solution now. For me, what I would think he should try to go with, honestly, Matthias Nunes is there for a reason. You had to find a way to use him then. Even if it's just to be some physical presence in the midfield, some energetic presence, then fine. I would put him and Stones in midfield together and see who he can fill up the back line with. I would even consider dropping Walker too.
Boy, I was gonna say I think he needs to drop Bernardo. I think Bernardo having a horrible season.
Too.
I don't think I can't.
And you know how I feel about Bernardo, but he is so physically he's not there, Brandon.
I don't even think it's that, John. I think it's like when you see a player doing a lot, but they're doing a lot of nothing.
Yeah,
that's how he looks to me. I don't think his play overall is not impactful as it was before. Yeah. Like I feel like he just thinks that if he does exactly what he's been doing for the last few seasons, it will just amount to something eventually. But it's just not looking good. He just doesn't look good at all. Like almost as if he, I don't want to sabotage is not a word, but he almost feels like he anti playing football for them. Like I feel like he doesn't contribute anything anymore. He's not the player that we have held in such high regard. I know you and I have said many good things about Bernardo on the pod.
Yeah.
But this season, boy, I don't know.
And it's just being honest.
Real crazy, boy.
It's just being honest.
Yeah, I think he is the start of the change because Pep needs to make because we're talking about a huge caller. Like a huge call. Like dropping Rico Lewis dropping Rico Lewis is not the solution. Let's be honest. That is not the solution. Even dropping Kyle Walker, I don't think is the solution. Because there is a easy fix somewhere there. He needs to try something that he has not done before. And he's not going to drop Haaland. He's not going to drop Edison, for example. He's not going to drop, Guardiola or something like that.
What I'm thinking is to try and find a way to lean into speed and dynamism and attack then. And try and shock opponents then. The thing is, we have, I'm going to say this. Allow me, right? Because I don't actually mean what I'm about to say. But I see how Sane and Sterling was, and try and use Savio and Doku like that. And try and stun it. And the way that they used to get crosses into the box for Aguero and KDB and Silva to get on the back up, use that and try to get Haaland and Foden on the end of those. Because the other thing, Brad, and I are being very honest there, I do not expect KDB to start next week. Because when you already lack, you do?
Mm-hmm, I do.
The only reason I'm saying no is because I remember he took him off last year, and it was because if the game becomes stretched, KDB just not there physically anymore. And with them already lacking with athleticism in the midfield, I think if it's anything, he might quicker look to sub him on depending on where the game is going rather than playing fresh legs with fresh legs.
Well, here I'm going to give you. I'm going to enhance your point and then counter your point at the same time. So, would you not say that he would require KDB to get those players running in behind?
Yeah.
So, and then my counterpoint would be: is Liverpool the team to try and experiment that type of football with against? Because it could get very ugly.
Yeah.
Because if it's one thing Liverpool have been doing very well, it's
punishing mistakes.
Punishing mistakes.
Yeah.
So I don't know, boy. This is probably, and I've seen this before, and I'm going to put it all on the pod as well. If City win the season, I think it's going to arguably be Pep's greatest achievement.
Greatest.
Because nobody right now can give you the solution. Nobody can give you the solution.
Exactly. And the thing is like, we generally don't know where to look. Like, we don't know where to look. If he manages to do it this season, but the honest about with Brandon is like, the only way I can see him doing it this season is he had to win next week. Because he needs to stop Liverpool bleeding.
No, I agree. He has to win. There's no coming back if he loses next week, I think.
Yeah.
Again, famous last week, but geez, it's too much. It's you know what it is, John? Is like, you have a car, a old model car, and it need a specific part that for it to work, but that part is like they no longer make that part. Yeah. Right, exactly like that. And that is exactly what is going on. Like he has, so you can't if you can't get the part, you can't. It car is unusable. So what do? You need to get something else. You need to use something else to do whatever it is you need to do for whatever you're using the car for, right? So that is why it's so hard, because like I said, nobody has a solution. I've listened to everybody on Sky, listened to everybody all over the place on social media. I have not seen anybody come up with a good solution. Because there are so many questions. There are very few answers. The answer seems to be get Rodri some 2 new legs, let him become a Paralympic athlete, play with blades or something, like we don't know. Nobody knows.
We really know. Yeah, but no, I totally agree with that. I mean, it says the thing is, what it feels like to me, by Brand. You remember the year that Liverpool won the league, that they beat City at Anfield 3-1
comfortably.
It feels that either next week going to be that, or City going and do the Etihad game that they had the year that they locked in, get it 2-1, and then went on that run after. Now, I don't know if they'll get on the run after, but that kind of game where they had to lock in and everybody had to play at their best to inflict a loss on Liverpool. One of those two, boy. I'll be real. I'll lead in boy to the former. Because again, can't see it. I can't see it. But if there's one man that we trust is to get a solution, is Pep. And somebody else who's being trusted to find solutions right now is Ruben Amorim, who made his debut this weekend in the dugout as Manchester United went 1-1 at Ipswich in a kind of United relevant derby, obviously with Steve McKenna having his ties at Man United, being a former youth coach.
Kieran, wrong guy.
Steve McKenna is even somebody.
I think so.
That sounds not right though. But yeah, no, you're right. It's Kieran McKenna. And Marcus Rashford started on top and scored 2 minutes in, and I mean, like, it looked like it was the best possible start that it could ask for, right? But I can't lie, Brand. Because I'm currently rewatching it so that me and Patrick can really do a deep dive into the tactics and stuff. I've only watched the first 25 and the last 15, but based on what I saw then, and then based on like the watching the stat sheet afterwards, it really looked like it was more Ipswich on the day than it was United. Now, it did also look like Onana had a fantastic game, and which says a lot because that has not really been the case on them so far. I thought it had some surprises in the lineup, playing Ahmad as one of the wing backs. I knew that it has been a thing under Amorim to play wingers at wing back, but like, again, being honest, I think like outside those that are able to produce us at the level of quality, I thought I would have expected Ahmad to probably be in the front line and Garnacho to be as a wing back. That's just me. But yeah, you actually watched the game. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I was a bit confused by a lot of the things. Initially, I was very confused about Mazraoui at centre back. However, that turned out to be a great move. I thought he played really well. I mean, he shocked me a lot. And Amorim came out afterwards and said that I can't remember his exact words, but he said something like, Mazraoui is a very intelligent footballer, and that's what we need moving forward. So I would expect him to be a important part of the back line from now until whenever how long he stays. Ahmad at right back, I was very impressed with. I thought he played really well, but the thing that shocked me most was, I don't know if you got a chance to look at the position map after the game of the United players, and the back five is in a very good line formation, which I also found kind of strange because I thought Ahmad was getting forward a lot. So for his average position to be still in his own half, I thought that was kind of strange. And then on top of that, the two midfielders and Bruno were like on top of each other in a straight line, and then Garnacho and Rashford were like right on top of them, very close to each other. So for me, it was like, I know it's the first game, and there's not much we could say about the first game. He hasn't had a lot of time and stuff, but geez, man, it was like these players just can't. This brings up a bigger point, I think. Like, are these players good enough to deal with these heavily tactical managers? Because one thing people, the big thing people used to say about Ten Hag before he came to United is that they love his tactics, they love his system and everything, right? Didn't work out, right? After the first game for Amorim, who is also a very tactical manager, who has a very specific system, I'm not sure if a lot of those players could play the system. I'm really not sure. I'm not sure if Dalot can play wing back. I'm not sure if Rashford could play striker in this formation. I also found it very strange he didn't start a recognized striker in his first game that requires a striker, considering he's had good Gyökeres for like the past season and however much. Yeah, like, I mean, what? Garnacho and Garnacho. Bruno was the big one for me, boy. Like, I don't know. You said you watched it for 25 and 15 minutes. You saw Bruno touch the ball? You saw him do anything? In those
I thought he was really, really anonymous, honestly. And I thought like a big part of the midfield, like tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe Ericsson gets subbed like right after halftime, one halftime or something like that.
Yeah, he hooked both Ericsson and Casemiro because they were both terrible.
Because they had nothing. Yeah, there was literally nothing in the midfield. I mean, like, at the same time, I don't want to take away from what Ipswich has done because, I mean, obviously they got their first win last week. They finally, looked on the up, and I thought, again, there's just based on a little bit I saw. I thought Liam Delap was really impressive. And like,
should have scored though.
Yeah, and I saw the highlight of what he should have scored, but like, I have a hot take for you, away, and you can tell me what you think. But I think by the 2026 World Cup, he'll be on the plane.
I don't think that hot. Hot. Because, I mean, you're looking at the... Actually, that might be kind of hot, because you're looking at the rest of the players that are available.
Because to be fair, that means that somebody between Kane, Watkins, Solanke, Tony, not good.
I don't think Tony will get picked anytime soon. But I mean, you're looking at the other strikers in the league. You're trying to think about what's like. Well, Beck might make a return. You never know. But no, I don't think that's so hot. But I mean, at the same time, I would also like to sing Glass praises because I've been a huge fan of him from the first game of the season. And yeah, like I say, I think there's no deficiency to his game. He has all the attributes of a top striker, and I think as he gets older, hopefully he harnesses all those skills and gets better. And like I say, he should have scored on the day. And you brought it up already. Onana had an absolute blinder, bro. Like, my goodness. Like, I mean, somebody thinks he was only save his boy, and it took a deflected goal to get past
I was not going to say it took a deflected goal from our boy to score from Omari Hutchinson. But I think that they were worth it, and I mean, I know that this is not ideal. I mean, I watched the squad, and I was even watching the lineup that Sporting were putting out so far this season, right? And almost every lineup had a nominal wing back playing in centre back, had wingers playing at the wing back. And, you bring up the question about if these players are tactically suiting up and watching the players' ability to fit the system. And, man, I think Ruben Amorim might be worth, going fully behind. But they need to do really quick work in terms of overturning the squad then. Because the truth is that for better or worse, they fully backed Ten Hag over this last three summers. And that means that a lot of players were brought in specifically under Ten Hag that might not fit under Ruben. And Ruben needs to see quickly who he wants. And man, Ineos has it cut out for them to figure out who he wants and who he doesn't want he needs to get rid of. Because that is active squad space. I kind of want to just blow through this game and the rest of the games kind of quickly. So, wanted to ask you then, based on what you saw, what do you think could be the ceiling for United this season?
Well, you see, I thought that I would have been there for the rest of the season, and initially I said fifth. But given that he got sacked and he was in such a bad position, and they only drew against Ipswich, because we all thought the new manager Barnes was coming in. For 2 minutes, we all thought it was going to be a rout. But boy, I don't know, boy. I think at this point, anything in the top half of the table is respectable for United, because they, like I said, they have a big turnover that they need to do. I don't know how much work they're going to do in January. And again, like I said, I don't know if a lot of these players are good enough to play
capable.
System. I don't know if they are, because we've seen some of these players over different systems for the past however many seasons, and yet they're still not performing. And I don't know why Bruno and Rashford need to play every game. I don't know why. I just don't know why. I guess Bruno is called captain, so I mean that's a given. But I mean, Rashford is the star of the team, but at the end of the day, boy, it's not looking good. It's really not looking good. Because I'm sure you felt the same way. You thought that there was going to be some kind of improvement. Somebody would have shined, but it just didn't happen. I think Ahmad was the star performer on the day. But I mean, apart from that, you can ask for much more than of these players.
So Patrick coming in 5 minutes. So, and he actually said the whole United talk though, because he wanted us to say some stuff on it.
God damn it, you have editing to do that.
No. We'll circle back. Because because to be fair, he didn't watch the Arsenal games. I guess we can just talk about that real quickly.
Okay.
You obviously would, because it was flying that day. When we played y'all, right, and we drew, and that was the other.
No, I watched the game though. I watched the game.
No. As in for the pod, right? That so we didn't get to talk about this on the pod. I told Patrick that truth is, I think title race is not in Arsenal sides right now, and only come the end of the season to see how they do in the cups and thing. We'll see what comes out. And look, I think that Liverpool right now are doing exceedingly well, and they are way far above. And for us to get back in the title race would really take some serious slip-ups from them. I don't think that is impossible, but based on history, that doesn't happen. I mean, last season, top four, right? Liverpool are the only ones that are doing exceedingly and abundantly well, right? I mean, we're talking about what was that? Okay, I don't know what that is. We talk about Liverpool doing well, but City, we now talk about 5 losses in a row. We'll get to Villa. Villa have won 0 games in the last 6 games, and so maybe there is some sense of hangover, maybe there's some sense that everybody is struggling with something, but regardless, we went into the season with title being the hopes for Arsenal, being the expectation, and they look set to fall short of that. I don't know. No matter what happens in summer, Arteta has the holy brunt of that. While I do think that there has been some level of officiating and mine that have been the same for other teams. I mean, just this weekend, we had a case where Aina was on a yellow, pick up the ball, walk away with the ball, and the players was asking, so where the second yellow? Nothing. But that is just life at this point. They have to do it. What they have to do now, in my opinion, is not forget Liverpool, but forget Liverpool in the sense of, you see the performance we had this weekend. I know the thing here, boy. I completely get why most people would be like, hey, well, Odegaard back, and that is why they're winning. But like, bro, I saw for the first time in weeks a balanced 11. Actual fullbacks at fullback, not Partey filling in there, not right back and left back. I saw a balanced midfield play together. I love the fact that Jorginho played this weekend. I have been crying out for this man to get some game time and stuff like that. And has not getting it. And the performance followed. We could have been a good bit up in the first half. Unfortunately, wasn't. But yeah. So where I am right now is that they need to focus on winning the next 5, 6, 7 games in a row. Then you can look at the table and see what's what. Because who knows what's to happen. Not wishing nothing on Liverpool by any means, but you never know why the suspension or just a bad game or two could do and bring them down in the table. But that is where they are right now. In terms of the game this weekend, it was a good performance. Saka was great, again, as usual. And has been one of the best players this season so far. Still, Garrick's assist still playing one. If he gets, what it is, boy? Like, we've seen De Bruyne, Ozil, Fabregas, Mata in this league, boy. And nobody can break this down as a circle, though. However, at my own peril, I'm going to see that if Saka gets 13 assists in the remaining 36 games, he break the assist record. So here's the hoping. I think you want to. I know it was. I think you want to say on Arsenal before you explain why I think Nottingham Forest is overrated.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, I mean that point is going to go into the next point, but anyway, I I agree with your point on Jorginho. I think this is probably one of the more balanced teams that you all have put out for the season. My concern, however, is that I've seen a lot of people calling for Rice, Odegaard, and Marino midfield. I think that's a horrible midfield. I don't think it's going to work. I just don't think so. The Jorginho one, however, it makes it a lot better because he can actually distribute the ball properly to either of them and allow them to move forward. So in that respect, it was very good. And I mean, on the other side of things, Saka again exceptional. His goal was so good. I almost got so upset when I watched the goal because I was like, geez, you're just too good, bro. Like just stop. You know, you don't need to score a goal like that on them. You know, just actually roll it into the goal or something. Don't need to do the top corner, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, very, very, very good win for you all. I mean, you all needed this win. You all needed to get back on track. But I'll move into the other part. You know, I think Forest have been extremely was it good? I think not fortunate. I want to say this correctly. I think the neutral fans have been very kind to Forest this season. I mean, the table doesn't lie at the end of the day, but I think there are many games where Forest have been poor and they've gotten by from last-ditch defending and they've gotten by from Wood having an incredible season who also didn't start this game, right? I thought Awoniyi was very poor, you know, as coming in for one of the best strikers in the league. You know, that's not the standard that you want to set. So I think Forest, you know, they're gonna have games like this, and you know, I think this might be the start of a little bit of a decline for them because, like I guess you know you're a big believer in the app, they revert into the mean, so you never know what they
run from it.
They may well revert to the mean at some point.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna take away from Arsenal. I thought that they were excellent. I thought again Odegaard showing like how important he is. But my great concern remains, and I still think you know I didn't think this is one of the games where the cutting edge applied. I mean the 3-0, I know 3-0 is a big score, but I still don't see it there, and that's still my only concern. And you know, moving forward, you know, you got a chance to give some players, and that is extremely important.
Yeah, and look, I think that you know Sterling as his first contribution in the Prem so far for us. But more so to the point that like, look, even if and I mean, this is such a low bar, boy, and I am very disappointed that I'm even at this. But not so much with Sterling. I did say, like, even if Sterling come in and all he does was take minutes off Saka, I'm okay with that from a lone player. But you see, like, Jesus, if all he's able to do is to not disrupt the flow, but take minutes off Havertz, then fair enough then. Because the performance, I guess, because like, you obviously watch the Chelsea game, right? Bro, the performance against Chelsea from Jesus was like terminate contract level when he come on, you know. Like that was absolutely horrendous. He was actually pretty decent this weekend. And if I could get that against, you know, when we play Palace at home, we play Forest at home and stuff like that, and help take minutes off of Kai, because like my big thing with Kai over the last week was like, dog, you could tell the man is not that fit, and we were running him into the ground because we did not trust Jesus for a second to play in the forward line. And that says so much about how far he's dropped down the pecking order. However, we have the man, the coach, the legend, Daniel Patrick here with us. Thank you so much for making the time, bro. We really, really appreciate it. We literally put a pause in the United convo so that you come in and discuss. I already told the people that we are planning to do a bigger tactical deep dive into what Amorim has to offer to not just United, but to the Prem as a whole. But what was some of the stuff that you wanted to touch on?
One of the other things I talked about, you know, just I probably might get you a little more started. Like one of the things that I was talking about too was the different positions that he put some of the players in. Like I know we talked about Mazraoui at centre back. That was an interesting choice that, in my opinion, worked out in the end. I thought it was a very good idea. And he talked about it after the game when he talked about he's a very intelligent player and he will be key for them going forward. I thought Ahmad at right wing back was a great move as well. But then on the flip side, it have players that don't seem fit to play the types of positions that you have them in. Bruno, for example, Bruno was playing right attacking mid right wing, but he was like in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Dallo did not get forward as he was supposed to. He was inverted more than anything in a wing back
Right.
system, which is not ideal.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then and then he hooked the two midfielders to bring on different midfielders. He had
Yeah.
Rashford didn't do anything apart from scoring the goal at the start. Garnacho was staying centrally when he should have been wide. So those
Hmm.
are the things we were kind of saying as well.
Right. Yeah. I guess the reason why I kind of stuck is because it would be. I could answer the question, I could just give a straightforward answer. The thing about it is I don't know how well to translate to the viewers without, like, if I don't set a little foundation, if you see what I'm saying.
You go ahead,
Um,
bro.
and I
You
feel
go ahead.
like all those observations are, I mean, obviously correct. We all watched the game, so any observation is, correct. We all watched the game. Um, I wish that we were able to do the tactical breakdown before the first, like, before his first game in charge, because we would have called most of this. Um, Majraoui at centre back is something that we saw coming from. I think we as a collective, of a collective corner flag group, right? We saw that one coming because of how good he's been in 1v1 duels this season at United, and how secure he typically is in possession as well. That is
Hmm.
typical Amorim centre back, and I mean he,
Yeah.
he meets all the physical capabilities as well. So that's one that we would have called. And Ahmad at wing back is another one that we would have called on a technicality, because in my notes I have um what's the other guy's name? Anthony down as a wing back. I think that we will still see that, but without projecting too much. I had Ahmad down as well, but in my notes I did say that Anthony was what I thought was the better fit, to be fair.
Mm.
And I thought Ahmad could see minutes at wing back, but I thought that he would thrive more as one of the tens. The only thing is that profile wise, maybe he might be fighting a battle with Bruno right now. Um, so let's start answering that. It was positional discipline, I think, was the
Hmm.
was the first question, and then some other observations about Bruno dropping in and Garnacho maybe staying too central and so on and so forth. One thing that Amorim has made clear, also, boys, if I start rambling, please cut me off. Prefer it be like a discussion. Um, Something Amorim made clear. So I'll just say this and then we could discuss off of it. Some Amorim made clear is that his system per se is really profile based. So based on the profile of players that he wants to start in key positions is typically how his system goes. So let's use the front three as an example in this case, right? Um, Typically under Sporting, we might have seen the front three behave wildly different to how United's front three behaved in that Ipswich game. Uh, Bruno, yes, was extremely deep, and what you call him, Garnacho was very central. I believe that was done on purpose, um, because of Bruno's playmaking abilities throughout that game. I think the link between Bruno and Garnacho was more than established. I think Bruno maybe played him through five, six, seven times, and to me, that's systematic, because every time Bruno gets on the ball, that was Garnacho's trigger to make runs in behind, right? I don't think
Hmm.
Bruno even fed. Let me not even say Bruno. I don't think anyone found Rashford in behind, because Rashford didn't even make any runs in behind. So it seemed to me like in that game, Rashford was used more as like a target forward, like your classic number nine. And then they use the spaces that with Rashford checking in. Well, I want to say checking in, 'cause I'll get to Rashford soon enough. With him checking in, the spaces that are then left beyond the last line for Garnacho to exploit. And then they use the playmaking skills of Bruno Fernandes to basically unpick that defense. And that was a trend that I had to make note of, because it happened like five, six, seven times throughout the
Hmm.
game. I think that it was systematic. Now, perhaps with a different player, not Garnacho, not Bruno, we see the front three operate differently. But based on the profile of player, I'm I'm fairly confident in saying that that was a systematic um, outcome. I don't think it happened by mistake. Is is what I'm trying to say. And to answer the question, then I was more or less pleased with the front three's movement. I was pleased with where Bruno decided to operate. I was pleased with where Garnacho decided to operate because it actually worked. It's just unfortunate that Garnacho is one of the worst decision makers on that team. So we couldn't see Amorim's, tactics come to fruition because Garnacho was horrible on the day. Like
Dog,
he was one of
you
their
just
worst players.
killed me to no answer because I like how you just be explaining something very intricate and very astute, I think. And then you will just like when it's time to knock a man off his post, you will go for the jugular in it all. You
Yeah,
do not care at all. Um okay, obviously we have a little. You literally had put in your notes. Probably best not to ask me at all any interest at time because I know that you did a lot of in-depth research in this, and that's not going to go to waste. I promise the listeners that we will be doing a more in-depth video on Ruben Amorim, right? Just a quick few things to pull out from you then. Rashford, you said like you had some notes that you made based on the performance. What was your takeaway from it?
Okay, Rashford, they need, and I mean this with absolutely no disrespect, they need to find a way to spend the rest of the season raising his stock value to then potentially and possibly and hopefully in Jesus' name offload this guy in the summer because he should never see the pitch on United again. He simply shouldn't. He will be a shit 10, he'll be a horrible wing back, and he's a terrible striker. So unless he's good at getting water and making sure it's cold for the boys, I don't think he should
Oh,
it's done. It should be done. Yeah, bro. Like maybe West Ham could come or something like that, and
nice, yeah.
give like 50 million.
Man said West Ham, you know. When was
He
the name of it?
is a horrible player. I will explain why. The first goal, go back and watch it. Not now, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. But when you get time to go back and watch the first
Yeah,
goal,
yeah.
it starts with Rashford. United in the first half. I mean, we all watched the game, so I'm sure we all saw this. Uh, at times in the first half, I want to say from like minute 22 onwards, they were playing in a mid block, right? Where like I think the defensive line was just beyond the 18-yard box, and then Rashford is positioned just behind the center circle. So classic mid block. Yeah. Okay. In our mid block, what should the striker do? Okay, I'll just blurt out the answer. Just the, in our mid block, the striker needs to deny passes centrally from
Yeah, cut
obviously
off the lane. Exactly.
exactly, but central passes. Yeah,
Hmm.
this man just stands and allows any pass wide, central, over the top, whatever. There's no pressure there's no pressure on the center backs. There's no communication in his press, and like bro, these are stuff that we teach 11-year-olds in the US, and they say the US is one of the worst places
Yeah, but Patrick,
for
you had to
soccer.
remember at
So,
the end of the day, right? Them 11 years in the US have you as a coach.
but
They
dog,
Rashford
what I'm trying to say,
had Ten Hag. So, you know, they,
what I'm trying to say is that it's incredible, like his his what am I trying to say? His defensive work rate is shocking because most people, I believe, would say that Rashford works hard. You know,
no, well, Pat, I think like Rashford to me is like one of the best examples of like, you know, work rate is not, and pressing is not entirely just down to athleticism and stuff, right? It is like a taught
of
skill at the
course,
same time
of
because
course.
like Rashford has like all the physical traits that you would need to be a good presser, a good work rate off the ball and stuff like that. But like for whether he understands it or not, he doesn't press at the right triggers. He doesn't press the right areas. He doesn't deny the right lanes, and like that has been a problem
Exactly.
on the Ollie. That has been a problem on the Ten Hag, and
Thank
it's not a
you.
problem on
Thank you.
Amarim. You know,
Yeah.
like
You
that,
see
and like
that thing about not understanding the lanes. Yeah. However, on the day, I felt like it was even worse because he didn't even attempt
yeah.
to press. I
No,
don't
but
know
Pat,
if his
you play
interpretation
strike,
of
right?
mid block was yeah. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I didn't mean to cut
No,
you
no,
there.
no.
But like, I
Yeah.
know you play strike, and I know you've also played wing in pressing structures before, right? You
Hmm?
know how important the striker is to a press because the striker helps that, especially when they go to one side,
And
that you help
initiative.
narrow the lanes, and then you make it a lot more narrow and make it easy to press into a corner, right? Rashford leaves the sides exposed and makes it easy for the ball to progress beyond him, and continues to be a problem. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Brandon.
I would like to add to that, and this is something that we talked about before you came, Daniel. But
Hmm.
one of the things I found strange, like I looked at the positional map of the team after the game, right? And what I noticed was that the two wing backs, I understand why Dallo was still in his defensive half, but
Hmm.
Ahmad, even though he was getting forward so regularly, his average position was in his own half. And as John just brought up there, because Rashford is leaving such a big gap on the right hand side, as well as Bruno moving into the midfield from the right hand
Hmm.
side, right? Ahmad had to remain further back, even though he was getting forward as often as he was. So I was
Yeah.
extremely shocked to understand. But John just answered my own question, because if you have that so much space for the opposition team to exploit, obviously a wing back not going to generally be as forward as you would like him to
Yeah,
be.
Hmm.
yeah,
That coupled with, so I think that was a big part as to why, Amal Map would be like that, and why he was so defensive on the day. Also, another thing that I feel like, I'm sure we all noticed this as well, United really struggled to get out of their first half. So,
yeah.
United really struggled to get out of their own half. Sorry.
Hmm.
Um, and that's for the entire game, or the full 90 minutes. I felt like they really struggled to get out.
Yeah,
And I don't particularly, it's too early, to say whose fault it is, blah blah blah, what's going on. I don't particularly think it's Amorim's fault. I think they're just still dealing with some of the sins of Ten Hag, because this was one of the first games that I felt like I watched a United game and it was not just players standing in position. Like, these guys are actually moving into position. And there is a big difference, and we'll cover it on the tactical breakdown. But there's a big difference to standing in, like, let's just get one thing straight. Ten Hag and Amorim both play highly positional systems, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Meaning that the structure is set and it's just for players to operate within the framework of this structure, right? Obviously, for Amorim, it's a 3-4-3, and for Ten Hag, it was a what the hell. So for both of them, if you watch Ten Hag's system, you'll see a lot of players just standing in position, right? And
I love this
obviously,
man, you
if you're
know.
just standing in position, it's gonna be very difficult to get the ball, because guess what
Yeah,
happens if you stand around on a football pitch? I have a tendency to keep saying soccer, but anyway, yeah. Guess what happens if you keep standing around a football pitch? You get marked, right? That's why moving into position creates this marking, right? And
yeah.
then you can receive. And
But
that's
you
the
don't
main
feel like
difference.
Pats, at least in the first half, that there is a lot of, especially with Casemiro and Ericsson, from what I've seen, like that happened. That to me, kind of what seems symptomatic of why they could have played the back a lot is because
Mm,
when you wanted these midfielders to move into these zones and then be able to pick up the ball and the hell and progress it, those zones were
mhm.
getting closed really quickly. And it could be
Yes.
a tactical issue. It could also be like a lack of athleticism to be able to, move one way and then move back the next way in order to create the
Yeah.
space. I don't know if
Exactly.
you can tell
No,
me something.
so that I think the athleticism, yes, it helps to have more athletic players in that double pivot, because they are essentially on an island. The thing is, though, two things help with the build in a 3-4-3, right? One will be, you need movement out wide. That's the first thing, right? You need movement out wide to create outlets per se, so that when the ball goes into the midfield, there are more options. Meaning that there are two things you could do when you receive the ball. You're either turning or you're bouncing, right? Like, if we were to keep it that simple.
Yeah,
If you bounce, that's simple. You're just bouncing back to one of the centre backs, right?
yeah,
If you're turning, whether that be a half turn or a full 180 turn, then you need those wide outlets to be able to feed them. You need the Bruno Fernandes slash striker slash whoever the other winger would be to be checking in as well. If not all of them, at least one or two, right? And I think that is where United kept breaking down. I felt like they were able to find the midfield, fairly easy, in my opinion. It was just after they actually found the midfielders, either Ericsson um, or Casemiro. Yes, the athleticism was showing up. I agree with you all. I also feel like the options weren't set yet. So that's one. And two, something that I think will really help, and it just takes time to develop, is what we call automaticisms. Um, I probably messed up that word, but
don't
basically what an
worry. I find it
automaticism
hard to say
is,
too.
yeah. I mean, we all know what it is. The only reason I'm saying
Yeah,
y'all, the only reason I'm telling y'all is really just for the viewer, yeah. What that really is just let's let's describe it as a framework for each player. What do they do when they get the ball? So, for example, if Ericsson gets the ball, he should know that, okay, if I go half turn, I'm finding one of the wing backs. Otherwise, I'm bouncing back to center back or left center back. And that's it. That's our automaticism, right? Ball gets fired in, he's either bouncing it back or he's turning and finding um, one of the wingers. That's something
Yeah.
that everyone can get on the same page of. And that helps in the build. That will take time because these players have not played in this system and it's a wild formation change. So that will take time.
What do you
That
want to
was,
say, Brad?
I just want to, I'm not trying to contradict Daniel's point. I'm trying to go along with it. So, with that same point, would you not say that it was kind of disappointing then that they weren't able to do that part despite the formation, because a lot of these players have played together for a while, right? And even with the change in formation, I still felt that they weren't cohesive as a team. And I understand that I agree with you that the change is a drastic change. Like, went from 4 whatever, like you say, to 3-4-3 is a big change. But at the end of the day, I still don't feel like there was any type of cohesiveness and understanding between the players. Like, these players have played together for season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons together. And despite the system change, you should know that if Ahmad is going down the wing, he should be able to, catch your ball if you're able to turn and find a space. The same thing with Dalo. Dalo should know that if he has to go down that side. The same thing with Garnacho. And as you brought up before, Bruno and Garnacho seem to be the only 2 players that were able to find that cohesiveness. And as you said, Garnacho didn't do anything with it. But apart from that, you don't think that they should still be a little more cohesive?
yeah, no, 100%. And that's why I went to the automaticism second, because I believe that movement was the first culprit. I guess, I don't know if I'm being too lenient here, but the only thing that I'm seeing is that these players have played in a system that
Or
forced
lack
them
thereof.
to just stand and wait for the last how many of them years, yeah? He
Yeah.
was there
But that's
for
not before Ten Hag. Yeah, but that's even not before Ten Hag thing.
yeah. And I feel like, I mean, at this point, it's like anything would look positive. I feel like they just need a bit more time to not so much get accustomed, but learn the movements that are required
Yeah.
in his system. I understand these guys are professionals, but even beyond the professional level, it's tough to go from 2.5 years of one thing,
Whatever.
whether
Yeah.
it made sense or not or whatever, and then
Yeah.
adapt to this. Bro, it's not even like a similar system. It's like so different.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
well,
And credit to
Pat.
Amorim too. He might be figuring it out as well, because
No, for
it's his.
sure.
It's his first time with this new group of players as well. His tactics of sporting would not translate the same to to the United group. So he's going to have to figure it out as well. There is
Also, the Premier League on the whole, too.
exactly. I don't think there's actually much to take away from this game. That's the thing. Especially since now here's another thing. They just got back from international break, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps some of the players that he would ideally start weren't even fit. Because I felt like Haaland should have started that game. I could have put my head on a block that he would have started that game. It just made so much sense. But who knows? Maybe he came back from the camp, from the Danish camp,
Denmark.
just
Yeah.
unfit. Not ready to play 90. So that's something that I would have to take into consideration as
Um,
well. And speaking of Hoyland, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. Tell me what you all think. One of the notes that I made during the game. This is not so tactical, right? So I figured we could talk about it. I felt like I think I was saying it around halftime. I messaged in some group chat, not ours unfortunately, but yeah, that this game needs Zirkzee and Hoyland to come on and play as a pair. And the reason that I felt that was because of the dynamic between Rashford and Garnacho just seemed so suited to Zirkzee and Hoyland instead of them, right?
like how
The
there
same
was like more special strikers.
they were split strikers, one target man, one getting
Yeah, one
behind.
target man get behind because Garnacho and Rashford too similar.
Yeah. That's a good
Exactly.
point.
But
Actually.
even on the day though, Rashford didn't even attempt to get in behind. I assume that is instruction based. It's just too bad that he's just not a good striker. That's all it is. He's not good with with his back to goal. So he was completely ineffective on the day. I think that, bro, and most people that I talk to about this without, putting my input in it at all, just want to hear what they said. People agreed that Hoyland and Xerxes would be a good partnership. However, the part that I feel like people getting wrong is that most people think, let's go Hoyland 9, Xerxes 10, because it matches their profiles, right? I think that's wrong, at least for the day, for what we saw on the day. Garnacho was the one that was mostly getting in behind. That's where you would want Hoyland. So typically we're looking at Hoyland number 10. And Rashford was the guy that was, playing as a holder.
Lincoln.
So
Yeah.
to me, that's where I think Xerxes will eat in that system. Honestly, I think Xerxes at 9, Hoyland at 10.
Well,
I don't think they would have won the game, to be honest, if they went like that.
but I wanted to ask you then, based on like, the research that you did over Amorim, right? And how feasible it would be for them to go through whatever adaptation process this season. What do you think the ceiling would be for United in terms of the table this year?
That's a great question. Let me look at the table.
They are probably like 11th or something. I don't know if that draw do them any good, but it was 13 before.
They are now, let's go, 12th.
They are
So that's
12th.
17 goals up there.
Hey!
I think, bro, with the players that United have right now and the simplicity of this system, I can see them doing a lot of good stuff. And I think that they could finish about 6th. I'll go in 6th. I could see them
Pretty high,
that high, honestly. Because another thing that not so much that I would say I loved with the system, but I think is an excellent, you know, uh, excellent foundation for these players to adapt is that the system is completely linear. I don't know if you all noticed that one. But what I mean by linear is there's absolutely no rotations that happens. Meaning like you'll almost never see Dalo dribble inside to then get overlapped by Ericsson for then, Garnacho to
Okay, I'm
then go
sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
diagonal
Yeah,
to a
yeah,
man
yeah,
midfielder to
yeah.
check it. There's no
Straightforward.
interchange and there's
Yeah.
no positional rotations. It's Dalo stays within that. I'm sure if you check Dalo's heat map, you're gonna see a lane that goes, up and down that touchline, and the same for Ahmad, and then probably the same for Rashford. It'll probably just all be central channel, and then I think biggest culprits. Check out the midfielders. I've never seen. I'm not say I've never seen Kai sort at Sporting, but you almost never see a double pivot where the midfielders don't interchange. Sometimes it's so rigid, but I think that just makes it so simple that the players can't not get it in 2 or 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something else that I didn't see on the day, and it's typical of Amorim.
I needed to wrap it up though. But
This
yeah,
last
go
one.
ahead.
Usually, everyone talks about with Amorim, everyone talks about the centre back that steps into midfields and plays. Yeah, and that's why I had Casemiro down as potentially starting at centre back, centre back on the day. He obviously didn't. He started in midfield, but I thought Casemiro would have made a good centre back in this one because typically Amorim asks his centre back to step into midfield either with the ball or just during the build, step in there without the ball, right? There was none of that on the day. That was one of the first things I was looking out for. Kind of disappointed that I didn't see it, but that also goes to show you where he's at with the team. If he doesn't
Yeah.
even think that they tactically adept to have a centre back to simply step into midfield, that's a big red flag in my opinion for the players. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So basically, I think that not seeing that, he basically called all the players dumb, and it's going to take some time for him to work with them. That, to me, was the biggest red flag on the day.
Oh, okay. So, in the interest of time,
Yeah.
we go on early just bitch through these last two. Also, Virgil apparently coming on now.
Let's do it.
So, this is going to be the most backwards episode ever. Because how we can bring Virgil on and not talk about City a little bit, right? But in that case, Brandon, I am sorry. We're going to blitz through these last few games. Your team went 2-1, and I am going to give you 44 seconds to tell Patrick why he was absolutely wrong about Nico Jackson and that he's actually the best striker in the league, not named Haaland.
Yeah. Listen. So here it is, Daniel. I have a song for you to sing, right? So you're just singing after me,
Okay.
right? I'm sorry, Nick Jackson. Ooh, I was so wrong.
Nice.
No, I don't know if you all saw Jackson's finish, but Jackson's finish was exceptional. That's the type of goal that you need from your striker when you're probably not having the best day. I don't think we had the best day, attacking wise. And again, we just continue to stride forward. I mean, nobody's like taking us seriously as the season goes on. And again, a good performance from everybody. And the final thing I'll say on Chelsea is, a good example from one of our 100 million players. Don't let your significant other prevent you from being one of the best players in the league. That's exactly what happened to Enzo Fernandez. So,
Oh my goodness, dog. Starling, do you think Madueke is up?
bro, I've been real honest with you. He needs to get a drop. And I've been saying that for like the past 3 weeks. He needs to get a drop. He really needs to get a drop.
Patrick, you said that you thought Enzo was really good, but Palmer was off it. Why do you think that?
Well, I thought Palmer was off.
Well, I think we all know why you thought Enzo was on it. Enzo was arguably man of the match. He had like a really great game.
Yeah. I thought Enzo was fantastic on the day. I don't know why Palmer was off. Maybe he way
To
back
be
in
fair,
days,
if Madueke could have jumped a little faster, Palmer would have got a goal though.
If he could jump with 2 legs, I did
he
that's
would
good.
have that too. Yeah, if he could just not blasted me there, that would be nice as well. What's he even doing there? I don't know what he's doing there anyway. I don't know why Palmer was off. I think maybe that's just something that could happen with a player of his profile. He kind of just drifts around and does his thing. And some days, I guess, it simply doesn't work.
I think I don't want to cut off Daniel, but I think
No,
the sole reason for that was that Enzo was occupying a lot of the positions that Palmer would usually occupy. Because even for Jackson's goal, you could see that Enzo was right next to him. Like he was pushing up very high in the team. And one thing I also noticed was that Palmer was dropping incredibly deep to get the ball, to move the ball forward. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that was specifically for Leicester or if it was specifically because Enzo was in the team. So I can't tell you for what is the reason for that. But that was one thing that I did notice, and I feel like it was because Enzo was occupying those positions. And credit to Enzo for doing well in that position. And we didn't need Palmer to be at his best, which I think is something that we have not said about Chelsea for the entire season. That when Palmer is at his best, we don't perform well, but we did perform well, even though he wasn't at his best.
And again,
I completely agree. Sorry.
No, nothing. I wasn't really gonna say nothing that serious, but I was kind of being serious when I was about to say. And again, credit to Jackson, though. Like seriously, like I mean, like I don't mean that in our house. I mean, like just this week, I literally saw the highlight of all the shot I'm talking about that he did versus Bournemouth last year. The one that went in row Z, and we all see, and they show the one that they show that if they keep making the goal bigger, it's still
300 times bigger, yeah.
And look at the player we get this season. Like seriously, he's been very, very, very good. And I think credit to him for that. So nice. That's that. Virgil, what's the good, my guy? It's been a while. Rumor has it that ever since your last appearance, you all have not won a game. That's lovely. That's truly great. It's a good world. If only my team was winning that whole time, it would have been even better. Virgil, we already do your whole team, am I? But it would be a miss on me to not let you come on here and explain to me why it is that you are Pep out.
Why I am Pep out?
Why you are Pep out? You also tell me Walker is the worst player you ever see play for your club.
We didn't need for this game week to show that. That was from since the start of the season. We literally did not need that. From the moment Traore outrun Walker, it just went downhill. It just went downhill after that. But honestly, this game wasn't much of a disappointment to me. I mean, it's expected. You're playing Spurs. It was expected. This is Man City against prime Bayern Munich. So this was not something that I was like, okay. But everything from before, they just the icing on top of it. This just kind of throw everything off and just. If you wanna start talking and saying City in crisis mode right now, I get it.
Oh, so you're not worried?
No, I after this, you see this.
Stop lying, Virgil. Don't tell me you're not worried.
I'm not worried.
Do not lie to me. Listen to me.
I have the same worries every week.
Wait.
What is that?
I miss having you here, but honest to God, but I don't get me wrong. I'm talking to these men as we good, but I really don't really see it without having you here. However, it is one. I don't know if you can see this or Patty can see this because all this join late, right? It is 1 hour and 27 minutes in. I don't have time for your shipping this dog. I need you to be straight and the facts. That is all I need from you right now.
So
Okay?
what you need to hear from her?
Well, I have a question there, Vijay. I have an honest question there because we
Yeah.
discussed this and we don't have an answer. So I would like to ask you, what do you see as the solution to the lack of goals, and two, the poor defensive showings that you'll have? What is the solution? Because obviously Rodri is the problem. But what is the solution to no Rodri?
We need it as concise as possible. That's all.
Yeah, I feel like we right now we in step in the right direction with De Bruyne being back on the field, but this is something that we've been seeing for a while. We don't want to be having this over reliance on just Haaland and over reliance on De Bruyne. I feel like you can't really say Pep can't really do anything more. We have players like Foden, players like Bernardo Silva that this is the season where you need them to step up, because if De Bruyne out, it's only opening that stage for those players to step in and do something. So you can't have De Bruyne, who was out and now you're relying to come back and think everything going to fix. And even so, with Haaland, Haaland was just off. We're just really off the mark over the weekend. But I feel like we're real overcompensating and we're throwing too much defenders up forward to try and supply Haaland because we didn't have De Bruyne. So hopefully we get back to the De Bruyne-Haaland combination. But honestly, I feel like the solution is already there. We have the players. We've been playing direct football since the start of the season. It really just comes down to the players, the personnel on the field after this, how to use the brain and try and find something different on the field when things not working.
Yes, but Virgil, it is not working for 5 weeks now. Okay,
bro,
or more. Wait.
Continue.
You're 8 points behind Liverpool going into the next week. Tell me how. I don't need to shout at you. I'm sorry. I really miss it though. Like I'm being so for real.
But I'm just saying,
tell
people
me how you're trying
forgetting.
to beat win at Anfield next week.
People forgetting. They're forgetting. In this 5 losses, we are talking about a cup game that nobody really care for at this point, because it's only because it's a build up of 5. We're looking at we seeing 5 in a row. Nobody care about that cup game.
3 prem losses in a row.
We talking about the Sporting UCL game. That UCL game, of course. Yeah, Sporting. No, it's not like we went and lost to Red Star Belgrade or something. It is Sporting, a very good team in Europe. It just so happened. That was, I feel like the crisis more.
You concede 4 goals, bro. I mean, despite that.
Again, but we forget who they had on top. Class, and those goals were class. There's a hat trick. That was class goals, and you can't fight that. You really can't. I really feel this Spurs game was something that I was expecting. The Bournemouth game, the other 2 Prem games, those were the biggest worries. Going into Anfield now, we're not going against it. We're going against a team that likes to play attacking football, that likes to go blow for blow. I really feel Pep had to come up with something. It have to be something. I like what he tried in putting Rico Lewis and having the double pivot. I like what he tried there. I just felt it was the wrong game for that. I really felt it was the wrong game for that.
All right. Next question. This is a serious question. All right. We reached the point in the season, Virgil, where people are criticizing the top scorer of the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the very reality. People are criticizing him. And while to some extent I get it, we need to watch at the fact that no attacker in this team, in the league, has more than 1 goal. Forget attacker, midfielder included, besides Kovacic, has more than 1 goal. At what point do we start to hold up everybody else in the squad accountable for the lack of output?
Yeah, it's right now. Because as I said, we have an over-reliance on Haaland, and you can't just say, De Bruyne coming back and be going to just fix everything. You have everybody else. When Haaland is off the mark, you need everybody else to step up, because that kind of was the case last season. It's just right now, Haaland will be the one who will obviously, take the brunt of the criticism from fans and from pundits, because all the chances he missed in this Spurs game. But we have to look at everybody else behind him. We have from these previous games that we won, we have relied more on Gravadiol than our attacking midfielders. And when we win those games, we will celebrate. But I've been seeing, I was like, why we need Gravadiol and John Stones popping up to get winners? That doesn't make sense when you have players like Foden, Gunnar, and Bernardo Silva. You have Savinho. So like right now, these players need to find way to become more involved.
I'm sorry to treat you so hostile, you know. It's really just that we only have so much time left, and I ain't get to really wrap it properly. However, again, still being on a somewhat serious point. I know I am being serious, right? What do you think then now of what went on in the summer, given that this is the state that Gundogan come back in, as well as no replacement for Julian Alvarez and the big hole that he was in the squad from last year?
And to be fair to you, Virgil, you did bring this up at the start in the prediction part where you said that you didn't do enough in the final a backup for Rodri in the event that something like this did happen.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for calling that out early.
Not because it's from you could see the signs from last season. It's like you needed that Rodri thing was something that we've been trying to solve from since the beginning of the season. And then moving Alvarez on, you just create the next problem that you refuse to fix. So it's just going to be me repeating myself. I feel like we all know for those games before, if you have one striker that's out of form, the obvious thing is to put the next striker in there, but we don't have a next defensive midfielder. On top of all the injuries aside, the bad luck just strike. So it's something that this is what Pep needs to figure out. And I really feel the solution. I don't want to start saying the solution is in January. The solution is literally in house.
Really? Okay, so then fair enough. If you think that next week Anfield must win game, how are you lining up to win that game?
Same lineup, honestly, but I feel like I want us to start back doing for this game. We need to bring back, because we have Akanji back, we have Ake back. I feel like we need Akanji back on the right. We need, and Ruben Diaz is back. Back when we had that 4 center back 4, we were a lot more solid than having Walker trying to compensate for the lack of pace. So we have them. Things will be a little tough in the midfield, but we have the silver lining with De Bruyne being back. It's just all about finding who is the most comfortable person to put in the holding role, whether it be Matheus Nunes, or you want to try him out on the wing like last time. But I feel like we need to have more bodies in the midfield role. And for the attack, I feel like we just keep the attack the same.
You don't think you need to drop players like Bernardo Silva after the way they play in the season?
I feel like Bernardo Silva is a player that I feel like he's somebody who's intelligent and very motivated for work when his form does drop. I feel like for games like this is games where you would expect somebody of his caliber and his quality to kind of pick up and try and play out the bad form. And Liverpool is a big game, and he's always show up against those big teams. So I wouldn't drop him based on his performance against Spurs, because we all have to remember, if Vicario wasn't so good and just one of those chances went in, we would have been saying a whole different thing. So it's more credit to Spurs keeper than anything.
But you know what, Virgil? You know what? It did go in.
It didn't. That's the thing. It didn't. But you see,
you know who it? Wait.
Vicario playing a broken ankle, bro.
Yeah. Also, I've been real. I didn't know it was actually going to come, and we spent like 38 minutes on this game already. So I kind of need to cut it right now.
No.
However,
I saw the talk sense already.
Yeah. Hopefully you go back and listen to it. Next up, and we do this real quick because I've been real. We're not going to bother to do. Or they still want to do UCL predictions. Because if it's anything, we can run through that real fast. If not, don't bother. Nice, cool.
No,
the last thing,
if it's just a quality results, you can just call the results.
Yeah, it's just all right. It's just a quality result, so we'll do that real fast.
Also, before we say anything, I would like to apologize to the viewers that we spend the least amount of time on the league leaders and we're the best team in the league. I'd like to apologize to the viewers.
All right, quick question, quick multiple choice. If you know the brother, you're not allowed to answer. How much percent of Liverpool's goals do you think Salah has contributed to this season? Choice A, 83%. Choice B, 67%. Choice C, 73%. Choice D, 69%.
73.
Virgil.
What is the second one you said?
67.
Nah, 73.
Do you actually know the answer, Brandon?
I don't know, but I feel like it's the 80 something, you say.
No. The answer is 67, though, which
wow.
is ridiculous. Dog, he is. You know what's the funny thing? Only want to hear something even more funny. Mohamed Salah has started this season better than his 17-18 season when he had broke the goal scoring
That's
record
the
that
goal
year.
scoring record, right? Yeah.
Interesting.
He is older. He's supposed to be on a decline. And he is doing this.
Nah, but that man does really take care of himself though. Dog, I just
Oh,
follow you on
100%
Instagram
though.
and every day is a fucking gym post, boy. Like,
Brother, he have
get out of the
more
gym,
yellow
dog.
cards for taking off his shirt.
Yeah.
That's for foul.
Yeah, that's crazy, yeah?
That's crazy.
I think 3 of them are against United.
Yeah.
Also crazy.
Yeah.
Dog, I don't know why he
Oh,
does
true,
feel like he
true.
had a. I don't know why he's even. Every time he do that, I
I
get
be
vexed because
real.
my
I be
FPL
real.
suffer.
As a fat man, if I was him, I was doing that too.
Dog.
However, they are 8 points clear of City, right? And if City, who have not won in Anfield since the COVID season, loses next week, City will be 11 points behind Liverpool
And potentially in fourth.
and potentially in fourth. Yeah.
I mean, dog, I like it, you know. This could be one of the greatest comebacks of the season if we actually get to
Noel,
it.
Noel, what we said before you come is that this is set up to be Pep Guardiola's greatest season. That is exactly what it
is.
is. It is set
Yeah.
up to
Yeah,
be
because
that.
if you come back from this, boy, I don't know what you will say.
Dog,
Like,
I
no,
want to
forget
say
reinventing the
one.
wheel. He is going
I
to
want to say
create
one.
a whole new mode.
Facts. Facts. Square wheels or something. I want to say one 5-second comment, real
Sure.
quick, just on City, because obviously I wasn't part of the City discussion. This is all I feel about City, right? I'll sum it up in 2 points. One, like, uncharacteristic lack of positional rotation. That's the reason I'll leave that alone, because we describe positional rotation as well. I don't know why they. Anyway, whatever. Two, they have the best striker in the league. They're making almost all of their chances. They fall to Erling Haaland. He misses them all. I don't think that's systematic. I don't think Pep has anything to do with that. I think
Yeah.
they are doing a lot
Exactly.
of stuff right, and then it gets to the wrong player. That's it. You know,
Yeah.
I honestly feel like it's that. How is Haaland missing? We must be in our next universe. That has to be it, you know?
Well, actually, boy, I said Brandon this earlier today, boy, that so far, dog, in Haaland's tenure in the league, Haaland form between August and
Oh, yeah, the
October
August team. Yeah.
has been ridiculous in the
Mhm.
3 seasons so far. And every season, it like went back to like more like normal human levels. So
But
I
bro,
don't know what
previous
has to do
seasons
with
he
it though.
wasn't getting chances like that. Like I
Yeah.
understand maybe teams just figure it out and they will just man mark him, right? And then other players will score. But the reason other players, but I honestly think we keep saying like, yeah, no one else is stepping up and whatever, but dog, they're still doing their job though. They're making chances for that guy, and he just missing them.
No, well,
But
Pats, in talking
even if
about
he
that guy, right? No, go ahead
even
and
if
say
he
what's that,
does,
Brandon.
even if he does score, I mean that not I don't think that changing how they are defensively though. They conceding ridiculous amounts of goals, which is very
Yep, true.
uncharacteristic for them too. I
True.
mean, I know the game state and thing makes a difference, but I mean, at the end of the day, Haaland could score however many goals, but if they concede as many goals as he could score, then that
Yeah.
itself is also a problem.
No, that's an
Yeah.
excellent point. I feel like they're not keeping the ball well enough. That to me, that's
Uh,
the start of their defensive fall down.
And I mean,
They,
Pats,
yeah.
sorry. I
No,
was gonna
that's
just
fine.
say, like, based on the convo that we had before, too, like, we talk about like Haaland's technical level compared to, we talk about Salah and Kane a lot in that conversation. That like a lot of that coming to the fore with some of his misses here, like not setting himself, not getting over the ball properly, that kind of thing. A lot of these chances that we've seen, and we could go back and watch them. Like it feels like he's in his own head a bit in it, and like he's slashing at some of these balls. He not getting over it properly, not connecting with them properly, and because he getting in his own head, he knows he's supposed to be the best striker in the world. Like he knows that, and he also is cognizant of the fact that this City team is built on the fact to give him the chances, not for Foden or Doku or Savio to score in it, for him to get the hat tricks. That is how the City team is built on, and he could be
No,
feeling the
if
pressure.
it's one thing, I hear what you're saying. I completely hear what you're saying. And if it's one thing, dog, I really look myself, right?
Yeah,
You will never hear me. Like, I will say as much about Haaland's game, but you see when it comes to finishing, you will never hear me say a reason as to why this and that and the other. Because what could be right, in my opinion, could be completely wrong for him. And
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
looks wrong,
That's
in my opinion, could be completely right for him. It's not for me to say what he
yeah,
should
yeah.
and shouldn't do in front of goal. He is one of the best finishers that we've ever seen. So, in my opinion, at least, that's not for me to talk about. What I could say is he is not scoring right now because that is what the data shows, right?
Yeah.
And he should be scoring because, again, that is what the data shows. I am not going to
How,
say why.
however, long may it continue. Moving on now.
Facts.
Aston Villa has not won a game in 6 games.
Yeah,
Bro,
they
you want to hear
suck,
something
man. Get
crazy?
them out.
Villa have 19 points, 19 goals scored, 19 goals conceded. Perfectly
Correct.
balanced.
Perfectly balanced.
That is Emery.
That's how, like, apparently United also have some kind of like 14 start or some shit like that. But yeah. Villa, are we worried, guys? Are we worried? I mean, like, look, I mean, because as it stands right now, it looks like the top 5 is gonna be the top 5 teams that have right now. And like we ain't really seen any reason for it to drop off from that between Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, City, and Liverpool.
Nah, bro, I don't think Brighton gonna be in that top 5 come the end.
No, I say Spurs. Spurs not 1 point behind Chelsea and Arsenal. Unless Brighton on that same amount of points then.
Nah,
Or Brighton. Oh
Spurs
no,
in 6.
Brighton on the same amount of points of Arsenal and Chelsea. I mean, Brighton
Yeah.
really have been doing well. I
They
mean,
have.
João Pedro. I think somebody who's also been flying on the radar too this season has been Matoma, has gotten back to a decent level of form as well too.
Tuma is cooking.
Yeah, bro.
man.
Bro, only see that finish weekend. I thought that
Yeah.
was cerebral. Like I
Bro,
thought that finish.
Bro,
Like
the man doing a thesis and finishing now. Forget the
Yeah.
dribbling, he want to finishing.
Yeah, boy.
João Pedro come back with a vengeance. Had a real
Yeah,
good game
that's
in the
gonna be a
weekend.
problem.
Welbeck, even and like Jorginho Rute, like all these attackers
It's so good,
contributed.
too,
bro. Cool. Anybody else who need to talk about? West Ham actually win a game this evening.
Newcastle lost again.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
is
against Newcastle.
Yeah, boy,
Newcastle
Um,
lost again.
So yeah.
Hold on,
In terms
pissing
of
me off right now.
Wait, I would like to pose a question to the four. Then a very quick
Pascal.
question.
Yeah.
Who do you all think will be the next manager sacked?
Ooh.
Stephen Cooper gets sacked though. That's
So you can't say
unfortunate.
Steve Cooper anymore.
We.
I don't know enough.
Oh my
Nobody.
God. Hold on, I had to Google his name. I know exactly what I'm trying to say. Oliver Glasner.
I was thinking
Get
him
out
in
of
the
here.
They won this week though.
They
It'll give a
drew.
Damn.
Oh yeah, they drew. Sorry, yes, they drew. Yeah.
But it won last week. I don't know why Southampton see content with going on with the ship with him,
Yeah, I go in Glasner.
I mean to be hey, also I mean I know we didn't talk about this, but big up Cunha. That second goal,
Bro, the first goals.
He's a baller.
was it the first one? Which one was the one he hit outside one time outside the box?
That was the second one, but the first one was the take down from the sky.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a baller, dog.
Boy, honestly, my Patrick, I know. Yes, if I had to guess, I'll go with Glasner. I mean, I know. Sorry, Brandon, ask the question. If I had to go with anybody, I'd say Glasner. The two things I wanted to say first was Barca drew this weekend, and apparently
Yeah, boy.
Yamal is injured. I don't know for how long,
Yeah.
but apparently
Yeah.
he's injured.
December.
Is it a long-term injury, Patrick?
Like a
I don't know
month.
if you know.
Like a
Okay.
month?
That's a long time, you know.
To be fair, for all the
Yeah,
woes that
it's
Real
fine.
Madrid
Almost
have,
back. It's not that bad.
Real Madrid are 4 points behind Barca with that game in hand. So I
know,
mean,
right? Yeah.
like all of a sudden they're looking
How
that
did that
bad.
happen?
Also, I don't know what the Bundesliga logo does look like,
Yeah.
with the leg up here and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Harry Kane recreated that this weekend for his hat-trick goal. So yeah, that's that. Cool. We gotta run through these games super
Wait,
fast.
time out. Last point. Have you all seen the Serie A table?
No. Let's
No,
Bro,
but
three points separate like the top 8.
Napoli won this weekend, eh?
Yeah, they did. They're back on top of the table. Atalanta second.
Oh
I've seen it
wow.
here.
Nah, I don't know about it. I just know
Oh,
6 here right now, kind of sticky.
This
4
is
teams
crazy.
have the same amount of points as second, yes. Oh wow.
So Milan, wait. Virgil, I don't know what to say about your teams this
Hey,
season, boy.
yeah, pass. I really don't know.
It's a great year. That's
I
what it
know-
is, Patrick.
Hey,
It's a
watch.
great year.
I watching Premier Vex. I watching Serie A Vex. I watching La Liga Vex. I have nothing to watch now.
It's a great year.
You
Anyway,
might have to start tennis or
right,
something,
nice.
but never mind.
Games tomorrow. Slovan Bratislava. Hey, only just saying win, lose or draw. No explanation.
Yeah,
Slovan Bratislava hosted AC Milan. I'm going for AC win.
yeah.
I'm going for a draw.
Draw.
AC
He say win. What are you going for, Patrick?
Win. AC win.
Nice. Sparta Prague host Atletico Madrid. I'm going for Sparta Prague win.
I'll go for Atletico win.
Atletico win.
I'm going for a draw.
Draw. Are we going for Patrick?
Atletico win.
Then we have Barca hosting
Boobies.
Brest. I'm going for a draw.
I'm going for the draw as well.
Yeah, I feel like that
You
one's
really
Three
think
draws.
Barcelona gonna draw in Spain? Like, come on, guys. It's a win. Win for Barcelona.
Win for Barca. Then we have Leverkusen hosting Salzburg. I'll go for Leverkusen win. Leverkusen came back from 2-0 long this weekend to win 5-2, by the way.
They did.
Never losing.
Yeah. Anybody going for anything different?
Nah.
No? Nice. Bayern hosting PSG.
PSG to get the upset.
I going for that too. PSG to win it as well.
Nah, man.
I
I'm
go.
that. All right, fine.
I go in Bayern.
One Bayern,
I'll
two
go-
PSG. Are we going for Patrick?
Draw. I'll go and draw. 0-0.
Draw. Then we have Inter hosting winless RB Leipzig.
Oh, Inter man.
Yeah.
Inter win. Save it
Inter
for
win on
me.
that.
Inter.
Patrick want to say 5-0 or something for this, so
Yeah, I think I got me good.
Then we have Man City hosting Feyenoord. I do believe the rot stops. I think City will win.
Yeah, I think it's a draw one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick, same thing.
Yeah.
I know you like Feyenoord. I like them too, but I think nah.
Marketing
I-
masterclass.
Sporting hosting Arsenal are going for a draw.
I'll go for Sporting.
Yeah, I don't go for Sports win. No?
Well, you must go
Arsenal
for that though. Arsenal win.
Arsenal
Hey, I
win,
appreciate
Arsenal
that. Young boys hosting Atalanta are going for Atalanta narrowly winning.
Ooh, I think they'll
Apparently-
blast them, bro. 5.
Dog, Atalanta real chunky front goal when they're ready, boy. But yeah, no
Yeah.
commentary.
Yeah,
Atalanta win. Right, everybody say that.
Atalanta.
Next,
no
Red
way.
Star Belgrade hosting Stuttgart. I wait for a draw.
I'm going for Red Star.
Yeah,
And what is the Red Star?
Yeah, nah, I'm going for Red Star too.
I think
I
Stuttgart.
can't
Oh,
confidently
it's still
say.
grass.
I can't confidently say Stuttgart.
To be fair, last week I said I voted against Stuttgart and it did not work. Well, last match, whatever it was. Patrick, who you going for in the Red Star versus Stuttgart?
Stuttgart. I think Stuttgart win.
There's Stuttgart hosting Girona. Stuttgart win.
Yeah.
Draw.
No, for sure, it's Stuttgart who win for sure. I'm telling you that.
Draw.
Patrick, who you going for?
Draw.
Then we have Aston Villa at Villa Park hosting Juventus with Vlahovic. I'm gonna go for Villa win.
Oh, I did not know that. I'll go for Villa win in that case.
Yeah.
Villa.
Villa. Virgil.
I'm going for a draw. I feel Douglas Luiz
Draw.
going to get
Bologna hosting Lille. I'm gonna go for
that's
Lille
a
win.
fun. I'm gonna go for Bologna.
I think
Nah,
Bologna.
Lille.
Bologna.
Nah, Lille.
2 for Bologna. 2 for
Yeah.
each. Then at Celtic Park is Club Bruges. Now let's all say it together. Celtic win.
Celtic flying on the radar, you know. And looking.
Then we have
looking
Dynamo
real good.
Zagreb, who have recovered pretty well. Hosted Dortmund, and I'm gonna go for a draw.
I'll go for Dortmund.
1 for
Yeah,
Dortmund.
Yeah, I'm going for Dortmund.
2 for Dortmund.
Is it draw, boy?
So you know that since they lost 9-2, they win 2 and draw one of their games.
I know. I think Dortmund gonna beat them.
Fair enough. Then we have probably the most anticipated game this match week. Liverpool hosting Real Madrid.
Liverpool.
When the game ain't played? Sorry, I
I
didn't hear
feel, boy.
Oh God, not Liverpool. I can't even.
Liverpool.
Yeah,
Liverpool.
I don't want to say it, but I feel Liverpool going to win.
Bro, all I'm
convincingly.
saying, 2 losses from Madrid in the Champions League in 5
Yeah.
games.
Actually, wait. Ooh. No, let me tell you exactly what's going to happen, right? Salah going to try to get back in blood. I'm not going to work. So I'll go in Madrid. Madrid going to spank them.
I go in for a draw. Monaco hosting Benfica. Another draw for me as well.
I'm going for Monaco.
I'm Monaco.
2 for Monaco.
I go Benfica.
Benfica. Last one, PSV host Shakhtar Donetsk, and I say PSV.
Nah,
That's
nah,
PSV.
I'm saying Donetsk.
2 for PSV. 1 for Donetsk.
true.
Draw. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We know this was an episode that was definitely without a format. However, everybody busy and they have lives going on. However, we thank you guys so much for being here with us. Myself and Patrick are very much intent on doing this tactic video for you guys. And we're really hoping nobody next week to be able to record it. And so at least by latest next week, we can have it out for y'all. So please look out for some other content as well. And yeah, catch you guys next time. See you soon. Take it easy.